book of Colossians chapter 3, starting at verse 1. And it reads, put on the subtitle, put on the new self. Colossians 3 and 1. If ye then be risen with Mashiach, seek those things which are above, where Mashiach sitteth on the right hand of the Most High. Verse 2, set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Verse 3, for ye are dead, and your life is hid with Mashiach in the Most High. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Elohim, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, Kodash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles whom I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim, before going to the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives, as well as the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Aquat out there listening and learning, Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad and land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to the truth. To you, I say Shalom. So, Brother Yahweh, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning He is, He exists, or He to be, by Hashem, Baz in, Haz Dash in His name. Yahushai meaning He saves, or He delivered. True names of the Most High God and His Son, of these people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. This lesson is inspired by a video I came across. I had a whole nother lesson, but I kind of misplaced it. It had something to do with Donald Trump. I wrote out the scriptures and everything. This was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. Salakia. Yeah. But, I was watching, just, flicking through videos. Spirit hit me. Do a lesson on this because, again, the times we coming in, I got to be single to this truth. You can't have one foot in the world and one foot in the truth because, you might be left here. You know what I mean? The scriptures talk about we have no continuous city, but we seek one to come. When you take time to think about how this system is set up completely against us, it makes you understand we were truly brought here to be, to serve a punishment. Although the Lord, has blessed Jake in a multitude of ways. I was listening to something that the one elder from Chicago was saying, and I heard the elder from the UK make the statement as far as he said pretty much. The elder said, if Esau is superior, why don't you just be superior? Why do you have to set up? Because he's the father. He's this man is set up to be a cunning hunter. And the Lord allows him to ensnare Jake in a multitude of ways. I was listening to the one brothers, New Jersey brothers, and the brother said, he was going into the stupidity of these people. It's funny because I noticed Jake, a few different brothers up there, because sometimes you get called spade a spade, but he was going into pretty much with the social media and how it dumbs you down. He was going into pretty much how he said, think about what people are really into. He's like, a lot of stuff ain't even funny anymore. It's more so like rage baiting, and he just like how low IQ these people is. And the testimony to that is, like I said again, I've often spoken on that guy, Dean the Great and AB. Pretty much, scriptures say, follow not a multitude to do wickedness. You got, because of the fact that their antics, like. Pretty much, what are you learning out of this? It's not even very entertaining, probably. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I speak on it because of the simple fact I have watched it. But when I watched it, I did a couple videos on the situation. Scriptures talking about Jake having a zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Then I was thinking about how disciplined he was because, again, I don't think he want to box anymore though. Like I said, I saw a check where they were showing, because that's that kick stream, whatever, like they were showing the revenue. The guy Blueface with his women, because at the end of the day, and it ain't even being about jealousy or nothing like that. I mean, like you was miserable with this woman, and you know, you just in order to stay relevant, you gonna sit up there and be miserable. That's crazy. That's like with AB. You know what I mean? Like you literally had to ask another grown man for your money. Make you think of that guy, that one rapper that went got his money out of the bank, and pretty much the police showed up and they confiscated half it, but it's his money. Letting you know that you really truly don't own nothing here. I was talking to my female friend, and she was going into pretty much how, because I was explaining to her like maybe you should consider going ahead and just cashing out your 401k. You know what I mean? Because again, if you thinking that you just go retire, like just everything, like shit ain't getting better, it's getting worse. But she was telling me how in order to be able to, access it, she would either have to be fired or quit or something like that. And I was just thinking like, damn, that show you how cold this system is really set up. Because I kept on explaining to her, ultimately these elites is coming for these pensions and 401ks and all that, And you see that with the whole these different stocks that they push. I was talking about how all these 401ks is pretty much into the different Tesla stock. But Salaki. But let me say fair use because I'm not profit enough for this. I'm about to just play the copyright disclaimer, and then I'm gonna play this video because again, it shows you that you'll never be on equal footing with these devils. You can add to the society, but you'll never be truly a part of it. And they showing you that with these different lynchings. They're showing you that in a multitude of ways. When these lights go out, again, Esau is awaiting that. I was listening to the one elder from Chicago. He was going into how the serial killers. That come from Esau's twisted, violent mind. You know what I mean? This man is labeled the man of violence. You know what I mean? He is. The scriptures talk about the violent taking the kingdom of heaven by force. And how did they take us? By force, forcefully. And that was all the will of Yahweh Shemiah Shah, because again, we were brought over here to serve punishment. It makes me think of the one elder from Boston. He said, you was set up to be a servant here, not to be a king. In America, you were set up to be a servant or a slave in Babylon the Great. And, ultimately we are all servants, the true believers, the hopeful elect, to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. I'd rather be a servant to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua than a servant to this fucking devil. So it's fair use, fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976. So this is the video. Fair use, fair use.
Check this out, y'all. A perfect example of bias in medicine and law enforcement.
All right, let's get this.
Standardized testing. Negative.
See.
You hear the sigh?
And the deep part about it is I've seen people beat those and literally still go to jail. Yeah, I've seen Esau, like Esau, Edomite cop. It's a video floating around where a guy was sitting up there. The lady tried to say that he was on drugs, but he blow all negatives. They still try to say he was on and that's the loophole. You know what I mean? They can say, well, you could be impaired, although you're not smelling like alcohol. Because when you really go into the laws and all that, like I said, again, it's systematically, like how the elder always goes into pretty much you got the right to travel. But the way that the system is set up again, they'll word something a certain kind of way, and if you're not familiar or up on certain stuff, you know what I mean, you pretty much give them the opportunity, because when you take the time to think about it, like a lot of these traffic laws and all this is really set up for them to make money. Like again, when you really sit up and really like digest and dissect this system, everything set up in some kind of way for you to spend money and them to make money, But as you can see, they're gonna accuse him of being impaired, and then they had him take the test, which he could have refused, But there's repercussions that come with that sometimes, They gonna show you that. But when he passes the test, you hear him sigh because it's already set up the narrative. You pretty much guilty to proven innocent. They say it's innocent to proven guilty, but that's not the case. When you take the time to sit and when you understand the system at the end of the month, these devils are actually not suggested, but actually required to do more traffic stops because they look at it like like for instance, you could be a driver using somebody else's car. So when they run the plate might go back to your brother or to a female, your woman. They want to know who you are. They don't know if you got a suspended license. They don't know if you got a driver's license. Now they got to figure out a way to pull you over.
Doesn't believe the test because it doesn't match the narrative.
Hey, what's going on? I took y'all test. Can I go down? But if you're in an accident, you're belligerent.
Watch this shit. They said he was being belligerent. He never got smart.
This nurse, then that tells us
he's not belligerent.
That's being
He's self-advocating.
Right? So, drugs, alcohol. What's going on?
Listen to the narrative,
bro. Nothing at all. Can you follow my finger? Like, are you coherent at all?
He was in a car accident.
Okay, well, then we'll take this.
Head injury, anyone?
No, we're not. Can you keep that away from me?
Is your car in the parking lot?
It was hit by the other.
Mind you, he pretty much sustained an injury, so he went to the hospital. And they questioned him. I remember one time I got robbed years and years ago. And, I only went and reported the robbery because of the fact they took my ID and took my wallet and shit. So, you go usually report that. And when I went and told and pretty much reported it, the police officer asked me more questions about my whereabouts than he did about what took place. And again, if you, like I was listening to the elder going into the elder of Chicago, because basically the lesson they was doing, they was riding through the hood, how Jake called it, the hood. They was riding through the neighborhood, and he was going into, at one point in time, that neighborhood was a thriving neighborhood, but now it's the hood. Because Esau systematically will, if Esau doesn't want a particular area of the city not to thrive, it won't. And I always bring that up, this particular, I remember the elder who came, he did something, he was like, what's the worst area in the city? And, brothers kept on talking about a particular city, which, it is to a degree, because pretty much Esau has, it's to the point now Esau is trying to get the city to merge with these other cities because of the fact, it's doing bad, and the way the city is, it's a hub, so you can go from this city to another city. It's like sits in the middle of everything.
He was the victim.
Hey, drunky McDrunk pants, that's not
Insultive language, unprofessional, bias in medicine.
You don't have to be rude and belligerent with me right now.
You are a nurse. You should have knew that I was intoxicated when I came in. Now, how many intoxicated people do you deal with all day?
A lot, and that's why you are exhibiting a lot of those same behaviors.
Excuse me, sir, without I'm talking to the nurse.
Then please, by all means, because we wouldn't have to be involved. Because now we're getting this test off you one way or another. Please, finish your conversation with her. Continue to show us how belligerent you are, because you can't even finish your conversation with her. No, we'll sit here and watch you. Have the conversation.
It's not even
show her the respect.
I'm at the hospital. That has been...
Show her the respect. Why? Because she's pink. You know what I'm saying? And this is the pride of Esau. You know what I mean? Like, again, if this had been the other way around and this devil was being treated as such, how do you think this would have played out?
Nothing to do with the medical.
When you're talking to her, you're disrespectful. And then
Like he he said, you're supposed to be a medical professional. So being, like I said, best believe the police were called after the fact. You know, and he simply asking her, why do I got to take these tests? If, you know, but she wants him to take the test. And then you'll hear her when he takes the test and passes because the police officer shows her and she's like, that can't be right.
And you want to say that you only want to talk to her? So do you want to talk to us or you want to talk to her?
She should be checking me for a concussion. I told her I had a headache. She told me I had a hangover.
That's not our problem. You don't have any life-threatening things, so...
How do you know?
Because we can look you up and down. Now we need to search your person. So...
I thought you were supposed
You hear what he said? We have to search your person. So if you agree to to being searched, you know, again, like he said, you know, I mean, it made me think of what's that guy name? Damn, Liam Neeson. You know, his wife pretty much was, I forgot what year that was. I want to say it was like 2012. It's been a minute though. She was in a skiing accident. She hit her head, skiing accident. She got back up. You know, they laughed it off. Everybody's like, oh, okay, you know. Seemed normal. Everything seemed okay. And I think later that day she went into a coma and then she died. You know. So for them to say, you know, can't stand these fucking people. Salaki.
Do you want to have the conversation with us about the law, or do you want to have a conversation about medicine with her?
I want to have a conversation about medicine with her.
Then have the conversation with her. I'll get this queued up.
You to take that breathalyzer for
That's
all I want you to do.
Alright. Just to show y'all,
You got 10 seconds until this thing's going to be ready, alright?
Alright.
And we're going to take this. Now, don't you make any sudden movements. As soon as this goes off...
You can't even too fast, like...
Bro, calm down. Blow on that. Keep blowing. Alright, let's get this. See.
That's gonna be wrong.
What do you say? Like, what's going on? Like, I took y'all test. Can I go down?
Alright, we're done. Alright. Well, no, let's zero. Like, what are we going to do? One's belligerent.
Alright, thank you, sir.
Maybe he's got, hold on, he can still have drugs in his system.
I don't have any drugs.
Bro, calm
Check
down.
this out.
I can't watch it again. So here, you know, and that's one reason why, you know, I think I need to get this. You know, this is the book of Micah chapter 2. And verse 10 reads, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it's polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. And, you know, 2/3 of our nation, of our people that want to hold on to this place is going to destroy you. You know, again, nothing's thriving here, you know. Constantly hear brothers doing videos, you know, and for those that's actually like got a little bit more experience, you know, you can see is really nothing. You know, this place is done. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we just living on borrowed time type of scenario. You know, you get it. I don't give a fuck how many Marvel movies you come with. Like, I found the timing of it with the Doctor Doom, which I hated Doctor Doom, but you know, you got different writers that come with different storylines for certain comic books, and the way that they're doing it is based on a timeline. You know, pretty much Doctor Doom supposed to have been in a timeline where he had the power of Doctor Strange, and that's why they're trying to make it seem like he's gonna be able to whoop all the Avengers asses. You know what I mean? But you know, I just like the fact that it was like, damn, you know, because it's called Doomsday. You know, and I always think of 2nd Ezra chapter 7, like the Day of Doom. You know, hopefully that's this year. I mean, you know, we got to do a lot more suffering, so I don't think it's gonna be this year. I think the movie comes out this year, but. My point of saying all this is, no matter how many movies they come out with, you know, which Hollywood are coming out with, these movies, they don't even really have any ideals for movies. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like the quality, everything is just so garbage. You know, the food. You know, it's funny because they found the condiment, the Popeye. I haven't eaten Popeyes in I don't know how long now. Shit, I'm gonna make me some chicken and bake it, air fry it. Yeah, that shit kind of bust my head though. So then you say you got to be careful with everything. Like this place is truly polluted. You know what I mean? And then you got Jake. 2/3 of our nation. From they just want to hold on to this shit. You know what I'm saying? And again, I can't even say I get that though. You know what I mean? Like like I said again, I was watching the guy Blueface. They was talking about the residual income and what he made a week. You know what I mean? He did a stream with one of his children's mothers, and what I mean, like yeah, this world will reward the wicked. You know what I mean? Well, for those that are seeking, how much you be outshot? This is not our rest. Scriptures talk about basically when you departed from evil, you make of yourself a prey. You get rewarded for the folly and the wickedness here, but somebody trying to do the right thing, be terrorized. I saw an elder brother name a lesson: the great persecution to come. You got to understand these fucking evil ass people was gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about that. I was like, damn, I remember when we was able to clip certain videos, your video, another person's video. Now you can't even do that. I wonder why. Then you got this AI shit. So, and we know the wiles of the devil. So yeah, of course. I mean, he has no. You think he have an issue with lying on you? I'm still stuck on that one. The dude, he went in there and told them he was in a car accident, and she told him she wanted him to take a breath. I would have got belligerent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest. I'd have, because he's like, what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? No, I know that took a lot of patience on dude's part. I'm sure he should be able to, and it's all on camera too. I'm sure he should be able to like sue somebody or like something. Book of Hebrews chapter 13 and I'm going to start at verse 10. We have an altar from which the priest in the tabernacle have no right to eat. Verse 11, this is in the NLT. Under the old system, the high priest brought the blood of animals into the holy place as a sacrifice for sin, and the bodies of the animals were burnt outside the camp. So also Yahushua suffered and died outside the city gates to make his people holy by means of his own blood. Yeah. And that's why we're not saved by the law. We're saved by the grace of Yahweh Yahushua, So verse 13. So let us go out to him outside the camp and bear the disgrace he bore. For this world is not our permanent home. We are looking forward to a home yet to come. And again, like I said, when you take time to really sit back and meditate, or like you'll never be considered equal in here. Yeah, they'll take your tax money. Yeah, you could. Yeah, they'll figure out a way to make some money off of you. But you'll never get a fair shake in this place because it wasn't set up for you to, like I said, be a king over here. Like the elders said, he wasn't set up for you to, have rest here. I was listening to the brothers from New Jersey, and they was just going into the magnitude of the kingdom. It was actually a really good lesson. I came in like pretty much like it probably was like 30, 40 minutes left, but it was just going into, no eye has ever seen. You couldn't even imagine. He was like individuals that's blessed with imaginations. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how vivid the imagination is, your imagination is, he said, you will never be able to fully understand. He was like, and then when you're given a gift, especially men, because men, we're providers, so therefore we enjoy, when we know that we made, our children or our woman or, somebody we care for happy by giving them something that they wasn't expecting. That's the beauty of a gift, especially an uncorruptible one, you know what I mean? Because again, the Lord promised that he's going to give us rest and give us the kingdom and all these different things. But, he was going to, how did he word it? He said, he said, just imagine how cold the gift got to be. He said, for your body to have to be changed in order to actually appreciate it and receive it. I was like, damn, that is deep, you know what I mean? It's going to make all the suffering and everything, all the hell you caught, worth it, you know what I mean? Because you don't truly appreciate something until, we've caught so much hell over here, the kingdom is he was like going into rest. He broke it down. He was like a vacation. And then he went into what the word vacation is and all that. He was like, he was like how pretty much the kingdom is like going to be our, like a vacation that you never have to go back to work for, you know what I mean? You're going to truly receive rest. Because you ain't going to receive that shit here. I mean, imagine that. Like I said, I keep on still thinking about that. He got hurt. He said the other car hit him, probably left him. You know what I'm saying? Probably just fucking you. She hit him by your car and the oh man. And then these the same people when you had the nurse chick, abusing the little Jake children. Or this like coroner that pretty much did Dola Wells' autopsy, how pretty much she did like 3 or 4 other Jake's autopsies and pretty much declared that they was suicides. It's the way the elders say. He said this devil got some stuff to pay for, and then you got individuals, really rather side with the devil, like, we all gonna do this, live happy ever after. The book of Isaiah chapter 32 and starting at verse 9, and it reads, complacent women warned of disaster, which this could be twofold because it could go into the actual women, but then the bride of Yahweh Shah, who these people even call Jesus Christ, is, scriptures talk about how the flock of the Lord's pasture is men, tabernacle of the Most High is men, so, the true believers, the men are set up, because they joined on and married to Yahweh Shah Mashiach, so this could actually, again, it's like a twofold scripture. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. And the vintage failing represents this place, this system, Come on, like say, you got people that don't got no jobs, you know what I mean? You just seeing it on the complete decline, If you got a job or a means to like take care of yourself, you should be thanking Yahweh Shah because he doesn't have to give it to you, you know what I mean? Then either you don't have a job or you got a job and then you're overworked. I think, what came to my mind was something that one particular brother in the news says. He says, spend your money wisely, spend your money wisely. He was saying, and he said this is to brothers that's among other brothers, So how much more so those that's just, pretty much don't have too many people to rely on, because everybody's feeling the squeeze, Me myself, I was gonna get into looking up like Great Depression meals, although you don't right now necessarily don't. Well, to be truthful, like my children be in daycare, but I'm transitioning something. So typically I keep food because they was eating, at the daycare, but I didn't do that this time. Like little demonic ass people and whatnot. So so I've been giving them 3 meals a day, and and the meals been getting short. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I've eaten maybe once, and then I snack at work. I don't really eat a meal at work because I don't want to get tired and sluggish in there. But these children, they eat 3 and 4 and they're always hungry and what snacks and whatnot. So yeah, you know what I mean. You gotta learn to actually like budget and like the brother was saying, the same brother was like make them stuff. He said, "Don't get out that goddamn." He said, "No, he ain't say goddamn." He said, "Get out that damn refrigerator, turn the lights on." Yeah, this shit real. It says, many days and years shall you be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Trouble ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, which is these, these little, your social media, the ability to use Uber. You can sit on your ass and have somebody DoorDash you the food. All this shit that don't mean nothing. This man sit up there and expect to be applauded and congratulated. DJ Trump is the president that started the gig economy. And it's spiritual because it was thriving when he first started, and now you see his waning because of the war, the war over there because these gas prices are so ridiculous. Just call out the Lord really be systematically doing things. If you got the eye to see. Scriptures talk about in the book of Zephaniah, punish the man settled on their lees. And the Lord about to punish everybody that's trusting in Babylon today. Elder was going to today. He was going into how the nation's being mad because they believe the bullshit, and that's what MAGA is really. DJ Trump really. Which again, how could you get upset? Or I ain't gonna say how can you get upset because again, but it's showing you the stupidity again, like the elder brother was saying. These people really are stupid. You know what I mean? Because of the fact, the Esau's witchcraft. That man literally said, "I'm a snake." So what else did I want? This First Peter chapter 4 verse 7. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. You shouldn't be drunken by the philosophies of this world like the rest of the world. Because DJ Trump was able to get the world intoxicated by his philosophy. He said shit, lots of money. I can't do it well, but lots and lots of money. And everybody believe it because of he's Donald Trump, because he has. And then the elder was going into it like this man ain't really that like what's that guy Robert Kiyosaki? I would trust him, his financial expertise more than DJ Trump. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that's Trump got going for him is because his friends is billionaires. So like I think that's what happened last time. He went bankrupt like a few different times, and because of his circle and who he knows, it's something Dame Dash used to always say. He said, if you got 10 people in your team that's all millionaires, he said, if you fall off, you should be able to go get 100,000 for each one, and now you're back to a millionaire. If a lot of people don't like Dame Dash. I just respect him because if you go ask anybody that kind of knew him, that was in the music industry and whatnot, they said that he was like the first one that would actually be bumping heads with those Idumeans, the Khazars, because what's that guy's name? The Khazar, the big what the fuck is his name? He looked like Lurch, a big gigantic Israeli Amalekite that runs the music industry. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyhow, everybody, I've seen a number of people say, well, you know, he was the first person they ever say actually stand up against those people, you know, for Jake, you know, and then now he's, you know, which again, who's, you know, we all know that this nigga probably more than likely ain't right, you know what I mean? You know, dealing with a New York nigga like Jay-Z, like they say Jay-Z would have utterly crush you, you know what I mean? Like a 50 Cent, laugh at you when you're dead type shit. Like, this what type of demonic ass nigga is you? Yeah. But don't want nobody laughing at him with his baby mama, right? And she is shameless. God damn. They had the guy academics up there with a video for her. He probably paid for the pussy. She had no problem talking about how, you know, this place is, oh man. 2 Peter chapter 3, 13 and 14. Nevertheless, we according to his promise look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. And you're not gonna get that here. You know, yeah. I was listening to the beloved elder apostle. He was going into how he said you can't build a righteous kingdom off of a wicked one. Just like you can't build a wicked kingdom off of because he's like the foundations, the principles, you know. That's why the scriptures talk about as the judge of the city is, so is the people. So if your judge or the ruler is a wicked ass individual, you know, you're gonna have, you know, like the scriptures say, how's it worded? Light of the body is the eye, you know. So if your eye be full of darkness, you know, like. So yeah, if the rulers of the city is wicked and pedophiles and have no morals, and you know, why would you think it would be righteousness would dwell here? It says, wherefore, beloved, say that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. Yeah. That's why it's always so important to be repentant of, you know, because again, we in these weak ass bodies, you know, we in these chains of darkness, you know. We're in a very low estate, you know. But at the same time, we watch it, you know, I was watching the brother do a video, he was going into how all these fires, you know. He came up with a scripture. I did a lesson on it too, but he came with a scripture that I didn't think of, which, you know, that's a good lesson to go into. You know, we understand that the Lord using Esau too, because, you know, again, they try to, you know, bring forth this system. You know, they try to get, you know, they setting up these 15-minute cities and all this different shit, but at the same time, ultimately, everything is the will of the Lord. Yeah. You know, scriptures say the Most High God willeth for the kingdom of men. Yeah, he uses men to bring forth certain or to do certain things, but ultimately it's all the will of the Lord. So I'm gonna end the lesson here. You know, if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Simple Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power. His true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. You will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to call Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Bashim. Honor to the elders, to the apostles that learned this truth from. Peace and salutation to the Akim, across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth from faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives, as well as the freedom to do so, now more so never. Shalom to the Akim, the Aqua, to listen and learning, Lord willing, this is edified. Shalom to Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but who subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. Till next time, Lord willing, Shalom, Shalom. Kwame Kalala, and Bawaka Abba.